Sabrina. That's all I can say about this podcast. This woman was such a breath of fresh air. First of all, I love supporting artists and I love her work. Wait till you see it. It's freaking incredible. And it's paper collage work and it's amazing. But her story, her journey, her tips and tricks were just so refreshing. It was her first time ever doing a podcast. And I just had a blast with that. She was so authentic and so real. I know you hear that all the time, but this was just incredibly fun. We talked about so many different things. I hope we got enough stuff in there about art, but she's just an incredible human being. I could go on and on. I thought it was going to be a short episode. I think we had to cut a lot out. We just kept talking. I could have, spoken to her forever. Do you ever do that? There's someone you just connect with immediately. I was just like two kindred spirits. I love her. I know you're going to love this episode. So enjoy. If you really like it and you think it'll help someone or someone would really enjoy listening to this episode, please share, please like, please write a review and subscribe to the podcast. I would really appreciate it.
This is Let's Keep It Real with Sandy Joy Weston, your weekly dose of positivity with awesome stories and guests from all over the world. It's an opportunity to learn some great new things and expand your mind. We'll tackle topics from all areas of life, and as always with Sandy, the sky's the limit.
Today's podcast is sponsored by the Florence Belsky Charitable Foundation, which was founded in 2003 by Florence Belsky, a pioneer, attorney, mentor to many, and positive aging activist. The foundation's main programs are First Mondays, Women Who Lunch, and Pick 3, a virtual mentoring program which connects advisors. The foundation has over 1,000 global advisors of all ages and has hubs in all major U.S. cities, as well as international cities all over the world. The foundation has been developing virtual resources to help people during the current pandemic on its website, www.flowbellangels.org. The latest program is a virtual women's network called Women Who Lunch 2.0. For more info on that, see www.flowbell.org. Okay, I am so excited to bring you this woman. It's going to be fun because we have not had an artist on here in a dog's age. I don't even know the last time we had an artist on. So when my friend and mentor, shout out Dan Steiner, said, you have to bring on this woman, Sabrina Tillman Bean, I was like, okie dokie, but let me check out her stuff. And I can't wait for you to go on and see her stuff. And then she had me at the elephant. I saw an elephant and I was like, hoochie mama, I got to get that one. But let me tell you about Sabrina before I bring her on. Yeah, I can hear her laughing, but Sabrina got lots to say over there. So, Sabrina is an Austin-based paper collage artist who was influenced by the rich culture and artistic vibe of New Orleans. I've been all over the world. I've never been to New Orleans. I think if I went, I wouldn't come home. She later studied art history at Vassar College, deepening her appreciation for the wonderful colors and textures of visual art. Her own artistic, I'm like thinking, how do I say this word? Penchant? Is that how you say it?
That's correct.
Wow. Woohoo, mama. Her own artistic penchant was realized many years later on a return trip to New Orleans, where she began to experiment with artistic applications of various torn papers that she had collected for almost 2 decades. Well, Sabrina, I'm so happy to have you on. I just want you to know, I myself, my art lies in movement and dance, but my son, who's 17, wants to go to art school. That's all he does, is wake up in the morning and do art tutorials, art this, art that. So I have a billion questions for you, Sabrina. How are you?
I am absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. And thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, I love this. So I'm going to go into my first question I ask every guest when I start out. So these have been weird, crazy, wackadoodle. I always call them wackadoodle times right now. They bring out the bestness for some and they bring out the worst. But in the last 30 days, if you could just say one word that much sums up how you were feeling. Now everybody says, well, I've been high, I've been low, I've been good, bad, ugly. Doesn't matter. What do you think the predominant word is that you would say, Sandy, this is what describes me in the last 30 days?
In limbo. Limbo.
Limbo. Limbo, limbo, limbo. I love the limbo. Have you ever done the limbo, Sabrina?
Let me say that was something I used to do rather well.
Yeah.
Have backed off it a little bit because now I'm a woman of a certain age and I want to be able to continue to walk upright.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, so tell me about why limbo. By the way, I'm so proud of you that you didn't just say Pippy Skippy or give me, I want the real deal, the authentic. Why limbo? I want to hear limbo.
There is, as you said, so much going on. And I don't need to tell people we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
We got civil unrest.
Yeah.
And you really don't know day by day what is coming around the corner.
Gotcha.
Not that we ever really were in control.
Nah, we never were.
We had the perception at least of that. Well, now that's been removed.
The universe works in powerful ways, Sabrina.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so that being said, for you, where's the limbo come in?
Well, I'm like, should I plan? Is it even safe to plan? Will we be here? Will we be here? Will we still be on the planet tomorrow? In other words, what course do I take? How do I prioritize now, given the looming uncertainty?
Gotcha. I gotcha.
That's what I mean by that. But still, you still got to keep putting.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Yeah.
So you got to put one foot in front of the other and persevere.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you said that because I think there's a lot of people that have those sentiments. Me, I am that pippy, trippy, true optimist, hug a tree. I think the world is going to be here and bigger and better. And I think we're going to come out with a better world. How do you think of that?
Well, I hope you are absolutely right. And I can go with that. I can go with that. That sounds wonderful to me.
Yeah, I think when we come out the other side, there's been a lot of things that people, oh my God, the creativity I've seen of people figuring out how to put their passion out there virtually, crazy. People figuring out how to meet in different ways that are safe, blows me away. So, don't you worry.
People have certainly been inventive and very creative.
Very creative. And I don't know, where do you live now?
I live, and I do say I live in Austin, but I recently, and I mean very recently, like within the past year, moved just outside of Austin, south of Austin, to a smaller community.
Yeah. Well, that's another place I've never been. Well, that's not true. I flew in and out for a few minutes, but I've never been to Texas. Do you like it there?
Wow.
Yeah.
The things that I love, and I've been here since '97, so I've been here for a while, and I think this is where I'm going to be. And sure, there are things like any other place. There are things I love about it, and there are things that I would like to see change tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Immediately.
Yes, immediately.
So, when did you start drawing? When did you start creating? Painting? I don't even know what was your first mode? Like, what did you start with?
Okay. I started actually with my first collage piece, which was really my first intentional piece as an artist, and not even that one, maybe the second one, in 2011, on that return trip to New Orleans.
Yep. Yeah.
Where I was sitting there at that time, the company I was working for folded. I had made this, it was supposed to be a 2-week trip to New Orleans. It turned into a 2.5-year stay in New Orleans, for good and for some not so good reasons. The company that I was working for, and I was working for them remotely, folded while I was there.
Gotcha.
So I had to quickly regroup and find other work. And I was really sad and depressed about that.
Yeah.
So obviously, but I'd had my son drive from Austin to bring me a few things, and one of which was this large bin, and I mean large enough to put a body in. Okay. Of paper.
Yeah.
And he was like, I mean, I don't want to bring that. I mean, what do you need that for? I mean, why? And I was like, I don't, just bring it, okay? Because I didn't know myself. I did not know why I wanted it. And anyway, I had it for months, didn't even pop the top. I mean, I didn't until just one night there. I was sitting on my bed, and something just said, why don't you open that up and kind of go through it? And I did. I started going through it. And I tell you, just touching the papers, looking at what I had collected, and I was like, it is wasteful to just keep this in this bin, sealed away from the world and from yourself. And so I started picking through or whatever, and that's how the elephant piece was born.
No.
I'm serious.
My favorite piece in the whole world?
That was my very first. I never thought about collage. I never thought about paint, other than as a part of the audience, a viewer, a spectator. I never thought about me being an artist. I had dabbled with crafts, jewelry making, different stuff like that, decorative boxes, but fine art? No.
So take the people that aren't artsy out there and explain how these little pieces of paper become this beautiful painting.
Well, what happens is that a sketch, everything starts from a blank piece of canvas or a blank board or a blank any surface. It could be the back of a notebook. I mean, if you're just starting out, just something that will allow you to adhere pieces of paper. But what I do is make a rough sketch of the vision in my mind's eye. Very rough pencil sketch of that. And that's usually inspired by a photograph. For me, I even take a still shot using my phone of scenes in movies. Because and, there's wonderful cinematography, and if you're a creative type and thinking along those lines, you'll see a scene and look at those doors. And I just rewind if I can get my phone and snap it. But anyway, you're going to do a rough sketch on a substrate. That's what your surface is called. And for me, I am going to lay in paper.
Gotcha.
And I only use paint for embellishment. Most of my works are solely paper. They're not paint. And a lot of people do think it when they look at them. They think I painted them. I use the paper as you would a paintbrush. And yes, it does
Crazy.
involve going through magazines and newspapers and tearing. Some collage artists cut. I prefer to tear, to have a rough edge for texture as I'm layering. But
Gotcha.
some people cut, and I love their work too.
Yeah.
But anyway, you adhere it with an adhesive that's also a sealant. There are many different forms, and there are many different ways to do this. Some people dip the tiny piece of paper into water, and then they put the glue on the surface and stick it on. But the whole idea is, you've got this vision in your head of, and I wish I was looking at a piece to talk about, but I have one piece called The Dancer. And it's like this flamenco dancer in this red dress that's just all over the place. It's flying up or whatever to suggest movement.
Oh, I'm looking at her right now.
Okay, well then you know which piece I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
that is entirely done from, when I say small pieces of paper, I'm talking about like one by one.
Yeah.
I mean, and some that you, especially when you're working on delicate facial features, that I have to hold with tweezers to lay in, because it'll keep, they keep falling. But
Yeah.
sketch, then you decide a color scheme. If you're working with figures, then you want to decide on how you want to work those faces, skin tones, all of that stuff. But it's not as many people think, oh, I need to make a face, let me cut a nose out of a man.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that I knew.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that it would take a lot longer to do how you do it than painting it.
And I'm not a painter primarily, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't say. Maybe a very skilled painter, but this is tedious. It's labor intensive. There's no question about it.
And guys, I can't wait till you see her website. What is your website? So, in case they are somewhere, they can pull the paintings up.
Certainly. It is Sabrina Bean Studios, and that's plural on the studios.com.
Okay.
Sabrina Bean Studios.com. And that's bean like lima bean, red bean. And I always say that. I don't know why. I always say that because some people spell it bean like Jim Beam. No, that's not it. Nice drink, but no, it's bean, frijole. Bean.
Well, let me tell you something. I was looking at it, and I can get a phone case with it on. Is that true or no?
You probably now wait. Are you talking about getting one of my pieces on a phone case?
Yeah.
You could probably get it on just about anything you wanted these days. Anything you wanted, because the technology is such. I mean, those works can be transferred to metal, to canvas, giclée prints. I mean, where a cup, a mug, anywhere you wanted to transfer them to, you could do that with the technology today. I don't know that directly through my primary site, and I think you're telling me something. I'm like, really? I have something in there where you can transfer it to your phone? Wow.
Well, I was on where you sell it at the it's called Fine Art America.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, I am also. I thought you meant on my website.
I saw that too, but if you
website.
go on Fine Art America, and
you're
I told you
absolutely right.
Now I love dancers too. I was a dance major, so now I'm all kinds of crazy here. You can get a phone case. You can get stationery and wall art with that Midnight Elephant. I am doing the happy dance over here.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you like that one. Yeah, you can do greeting cards, anything. Also at Redbubble. That's another site. I'm at Redbubble. I'm on Sachi. Uh, a lot of sites.
It's crazy. But I'm just sitting here thinking, I know people probably do it all the time. For me, I would so get this in, I write a lot of notes. I still am the one doing snail mail. So, Sabrina, I send cards. So, I would love some of your artwork in my little, thinking of you notes. And my freaking phone case that's so boring. I'm like, whoa, look, I can get this dancer here. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. I mean, wouldn't you love it if you're walking down the street, Sabrina, and you're like, wait a minute, that woman has my painting on it.
Where did you get that?
And you'd be like, wait a minute, I did that.
Excuse me. And I actually have the dancer as my, I know you don't call it desktop on the phone, but as my screen on my phone. My screen is the dancer. And it's not even that. That's my. I love all of them, but that was just perfect for my phone. I thought.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, getting back to what inspires you for the different ones, like you said, you have it in your mind's eye, right? And you're being inspired. And I know that one of your tips to people is, to tell a story. With each piece, mindfulness, be thoughtful and feeling do you wish to evoke. So do you think about that with each of these individual pieces?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I do.
So you're not just phoning it in. You are like,
oh no. And I'm not even thinking about what other people might like who like art or what other artists are doing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what is it that I want to say with this piece. And that hasn't been said before in this particular way. And when I say that, I mean using paper. We've all seen artwork that involves people draw heavily on the music industry and musicians.
Yeah.
For work, but how often do you see one that's done exclusively in paper? And when people look at it, they may think it's a painting, but when you see the original.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, then because there's a mosaic quality to those little pieces of paper.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think about it. I'm very mindful. I'm working on a piece now. Of course, that's never been seen because it seems like it's taken me forever to finish it. But it's a woman sitting at a bus depot. And you can tell from her clothing and just the way the depot looks that it's not contemporary. Maybe 40 years ago, maybe 30, 40 years ago. And I also, even though I have my own ideas about what images I want to evoke or what topics of discussion, what points of discussion I might want to raise with the piece, I still want to leave room, and their room is going to be there whether the artist wants it or not, for the viewer to look and say, well, oh my God, I think, maybe a partner left her and she's going somewhere to start a new life and she's hoping that look on her face, she's turned. Maybe he'll come, or maybe she'll come and get me. Maybe I won't have to go. Or, there are any number of interpretations on this particular piece. It's just this lady and her suitcase. She's sitting alone in a bus station.
Yeah.
But that, again, you also want to leave something to the reader.
Yeah.
or your viewer. I keep talking about it as if I write books.
No,
as if
but
I'm a
I know
writer.
exactly what
But
you mean.
they're parallel. They run parallel. What's the twist here? What's the point of distinction? Is there a heroine? What message are you sending? Some people write politically infused. Why do I keep saying right? Oh my God. Okay, another career. But
I don't
some
know,
people,
but I think it's something subliminal.
I do. Yeah, I think you're right. But some people's works are reflections of the times. Like you see a lot of politically charged
Yeah.
work right now.
Yeah.
We're,
Oh, I'm
we're,
sure.
we're seeing so much more of that because of these pivotal times
Yeah.
we're living in. I don't necessarily think about that kind of thing. I think my work is more slice of life, deeply personal. And that's kind of the way that I relate to other people in my day-to-day life. I'm a one-on-one kind of person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, very friendly, very
Yep.
personable,
Yeah.
but one-on-one, you really get me as
Yeah.
opposed to a group dynamic. I
No.
might be very quiet in a group situation.
No.
But anyway, that's more than...
No. But I know a lot of artists like that. All right. So I got to hit you with the first question.
Okay, I'm ready.
This is a young man who just loves art, but he said I can't get past being so critical of my stuff. He doesn't know what to do. He's a charcoal drawer, I guess. He draws with charcoal. And he's saying that please ask Sabrina, what can I do to not, like, every time I look at something, I start comparing it to other people. Like, I'll go and say, oh my God, I think it's good. And then I'll go online and see somebody that did it so much more advanced than me. And this young man is 17.
Okay, two things I'd say. One is that if he's making these comparisons, is there, in his own mind, a question of skills that need to be honed? In other words, I mean, I'm not seeing these other people's work, or his
Yeah.
for that matter.
Yeah.
But if he thinks that the issue is one of, I don't think mine is as good as theirs, and is it a question of his skill level? Well, right away, we know you got to jump in there and start honing your skills. Not to be like them or produce what they produce, but to achieve a level of self-satisfaction with what you have produced, whatever your particular self-expression is. Now, the other side of that is the issue. Let's say he is super proficient and knows it. Well, that means there's something else probably going on where no matter what he sees, and some of this is, I think, natural.
Yeah.
We look at what we did and we're like, really? That's a piece of crap. Get a garbage bag. Get a garbage bag for that. Okay? And throw it out as soon as you can. But that's just us wanting so desperately to put our best foot forward, and we can't see the beauty. We can't see the mastery in our own work because we take it for granted. And not just artists do this.
Yeah.
I mean, people tend to do this generally. We don't see our own value. So it may be that question. I mean, I can't say for sure. I don't know this young man.
Yeah.
But
Could be a
those
combination,
areas,
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be a combination of things. But he needs to get it sorted in
Yeah.
terms of, is it technique, skill, or am I dealing with being my own worst enemy?
Yeah.
That's where I'd start. That's where
Yeah.
I'd start. And I hope that helps.
No,
for him.
it does, yeah. So we're going to call him, we always make up names, Billy Bob. Just think about it. Look at those two things and see which one it is. And maybe it's a combination of both. All right, now, do you break a lot of rules? Because you're telling people here to break rules, experiment and discover, allow the work to guide you. Do you just go all, put yourself out there?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I do. Not in real life. But I mean,
With your art.
oh no, when it comes to following rules. Otherwise, I wish I was more of a rule breaker who said, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. Okay,
Yeah.
but no, when
Me too, by the way. I follow the freaking rules. I wish I would just say no.
yeah, no, I'm not having that today. No.
Yeah.
But on the canvas or whatever my substrate is for a particular piece. I'm like, I know they said that, a rule of design is you don't put this in the center. It should be a little bit off, and you should do this, and you should do that. And I'm
I
like, you know what?
Why?
I'm getting ready to blend. I'm mixing this with something else. I'm mixing this adherent with something else. And guess what? I'm using a spray seal, and I'm not doing what they said, and I don't care what they say. I want to see how this works. And if it doesn't work, well, fine. I learned my lesson. But I find that when you venture into the unknown, there you give yourself an opportunity to discover. You don't know what you might stumble on that even may later become other people's rule. Okay, but you
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? But nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah.
And it also helps you to find your style, your unique style. If you're staying within parameters, and remember, you want your work to be distinctive. There are millions of artists out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so why should I buy your piece?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What makes it distinctive? There are no rules for making a piece distinctive. There just isn't a guidebook for that. You have to find that through trial and error, and sometimes even what appears to be a straying from the rules, a mistake, an error, that may be the key to the piece. But you have to let the piece. You gotta kind of go with it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
The piece, just like a novelist,
Yeah.
the characters start informing him or her of where we need to go next. No, that's not what I would do in that situation.
Yeah.
This is what I would do. So he starts learning and is informed by his characters. Well, it's the same thing with visual art, music, anything. That's what I believe.
And you know what? I am a writer and I'm a dancer. And when you can feel it when I'm I call it in my zone, when I'm dancing, because I really don't care who's watching me, and it just takes over my body. And I love watching dancers that you can see it, you know what I mean? Versus they're just doing the routine. And the same thing with writing, right? It's the same exact thing.
It is. But we have to let ourselves be vulnerable. Because there is some vulnerability in releasing some of the control, some of the rule, the regimen, the inside the box, or coloring in the lines.
Yeah.
So to
and
speak.
you're putting yourself out there. So it's like, it's scary, especially like you create this piece and you want people. Yes, you said you really get into it and you're doing it for you. You're not thinking what other people, which is amazing. I think that's the most valuable lesson. You're feeling it. It's an evoking an emotion. Don't wonder, are other artists liking it? Are people going to buy it? It doesn't matter. You're doing it because you're feeling it. And that's so important with everything. But it's scary as heck because now it's out there,
Yes, it is, and this is the other a piece to that with our art in any form, performance art, visual art, whatever. It is self expression. So if the idea you're trying to convey, that you wish to evoke, the feeling you want to evoke, whatever,
Yeah.
is it gets lost and not conveyed, just like in communication. Well, what have you done? You missed the boat.
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah.
see it. So let's let go, be free, and see what happens when we meet our canvas and we're using the tools of the trade, whatever that may be, your
Yeah.
voice, your
I
body.
agree.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm not just saying that. I am not someone to go to our exhibitions. I probably went through the Louvre in 50 minutes. I was like, okay, but I freaking love your stuff. I mean, it is so me. I'm like saying, I like the dancer. Okay, I like the elephant. I love jazz music, and I'm looking at finger jazz. Oh my, incredible, Sabrina. It's incredible. Do you like jazz?
Yes, I grew up on rhythm and blues, but I love jazz.
Oh, I love it. I love
Yes,
going to
I
jazz
do.
clubs. Yeah.
And talk about freedom and breaking the rules.
Yeah.
That is jazz.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. You know what? I miss that. Like, I haven't been to a jazz club in a long time with what's going on, and I just love
Yeah.
being in that atmosphere. Do you have jazz clubs where you are?
We have the Elephant Room in Austin, but not. I mean, I'm from New Orleans, so
Yeah, I know.
any place is, unless you're talking about Memphis or New York. I mean, it's gonna pale
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
in comparison. And no, not here. No, and jazz is really. I mean, they're not here because there's not a big market for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have like the Elephant Room, and there are a few other places, and not that I would be the one to know them all.
Yeah.
Now there are none here where I live. I can say that for sure because this is a small community. But I'm sure that that's something to come as the demographic changes.
Yeah. So I want people, if you are by your computer, go on her site. All right, go on Sabrina Bean Studios and look at her stuff while we're chatting. If you're in the car, please don't do that. You can look at it later. But
Yes.
what inspired you? Oh my, your stuff is incredible. To do Tiger Moon.
Thank you. Oh, now Tiger Moon was a commissioned piece.
Really? Oh, so people
Yes.
can do that. They can say, yo, I need this.
Yeah, I want this or that. And she gave me complete artistic license with this. But it was for a friend, someone who I'd known for many years. And she plays the flute. She played the flute for many years. She loves fedoras. And she's got a body. I mean, boy, I'm
I
like,
was going to say, this woman is one hot, sexy thing.
oh yeah. And I mean, I'm like, how does she do that? I mean, she's older than me. I mean, but she just looks. I mean, I'm like, wow. And I said, so she said, you do whatever you want. Well, I wanted to be something that was a reflection of her. So
Yeah.
I decided to put this jazzy, larger than life figure there with her fedora and her flute, and she's also a fashionista. So
Yeah.
I and it was fun. That was a very fun piece to do because it was like, okay, let me dress her now. Let me dress her up. Let's see how I'm gonna do this, and I could do anything I want because it's not like I'm working with the body. I'm a seamstress.
Yeah.
We're working with paper here. This is gonna fit. Okay, So
Yeah.
that.
And how big are your
was
pieces? Like, how big was this piece, the original one?
Now that piece was 20 by 16.
Gotcha.
In contrast, my bass, my lady, which is the guy there leaning into that bass,
Yeah.
That one is 36 by 24. That's one of the largest pieces I've ever done.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
one of the largest pieces I've ever done. Yeah, 36 by 24, but usually 16 by 20, 18 by 24 for originals. Now, prints
Yeah.
can always, I just sold Danny 2 prints.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and they are 30 by 24. 30
So
by
which,
24.
is there
And they,
anything on your site that he got that we can see?
he got a print of Tiger Moon, and he got a print of my base, My Lady.
Oh.
Now there's another piece there, and this is just so that I can say a little bit more, about my work, because that one is kind of a little bit of a departure from what I normally do, and it's Blessed Are the Meek.
Oh,
Blessed
yeah,
Are
yeah.
the Meek.
Yeah.
Now that is actually fabric and paper.
Oh. I can kind of see that. Even just looking at it, I can kind of see.
It's three-dimensional. It's
Yeah.
three-dimensional. The person who bought that piece actually bought a shadow box for it, because that fabric, the tulle, which is the fabric for the veil, that's real. And
Ah.
even the what do you call it? I'm not Catholic. Oh, why can't I think of the word?
The rosary bead?
The rosary. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shameful. The rosary.
No, it's not shameful.
Shameful. The rosary, that is sewn through the canvas. It's real. I mean, those are
Oh
all
my goodness.
real elements. But her face is paper, and that's something that was one of those trial and everything's. I'm like,
Wait a minute. So did someone commission you to do something like this, or you came up with it?
no, it was something I came up with. I got inspired by
Incredible.
a friend of mine had of this huge, bigger than life photo of her daughter, who's grown now, when she made her first communion. And I
Yeah.
would see that every time I was at the house. And, I said, look at the innocence. And I mean, just a child's faith.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I could see that in those eyes, and I wanted to capture that. It looks not. It wasn't intended for it to look like her, to be her, symbolic. And
No, yeah.
the woman who bought it said, it just reminds me of when my daughter made her first communion or whatever. So she said, I gotta have that.
Yeah. Incredible.
But and that there was some serious rule breaking going on, because I'm like, can you mix fabric? Can a face be paper and the rest be fat? I mean, I'm like, is that okay? And the gloves, I mean, I actually did her hands in paper, and then I gloved them from a very old, intricately designed pillowcase, so it could look like gloves with holes cut into them. That was the design. But that was another piece that I really enjoyed doing, and I had to figure out, how am I gonna get this rosary? I mean, I can't glue it. I mean, how am I gonna do it? Fishing line. But when you're creative,
yeah.
I mean, you start thinking. I'm like, no, it's gonna be on here now. I gotta figure something out, and that's how I did it, with the needle and fishing line, so that it drapes in just the right way. But anyway, I wanted to share that, to tie it back into the trial and error and stepping outside of one's comfort zone. That's where discovery begins, and I think ultimately self-confidence, success, all of those things.
Yeah. Well, listen, as far as self-discovery and stepping out of your comfort zone, I'm sure you've done thousands of podcasts, haven't you?
Oh, yes. Sandy, don't go there. Don't go there.
But seriously,
Sandy,
because
I have never, you're going to make me laugh.
I'm just saying,
Sandy,
because
no
you got to
one.
market yourself, right? You got to market yourself.
I do. For those of you out there listening, I have never in my life done a podcast, and I was scared to death to the point that I felt ill.
And she was trying to get out of it, like, I'm busy.
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, I couldn't do anything for the 2 hours before. I just couldn't do. I just beside myself. And I said, "Oh,
she was looking up what were you doing? Looking up period art? You were like, she might ask me about, Oh my gosh,
I was like, I said, I know she's gonna go off on that Vassar thing and go, well, can you tell me what your thoughts are on how the Italian Renaissance incorporated some of the medieval period, and which elements do you think carried over?
Oh my God.
I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and kill myself now, because I'm not getting ready to go there.
If you knew me at all, you would. My friends are laughing. They were like, she wouldn't even know how to look up that question. You know what I mean?
I had convinced myself that I tell you, Sandy, I want to thank you so much. You are a miracle worker, because you put me at ease. I mean, the audience didn't hear that.
Yeah.
In 120 seconds, I mean, I came from like 500 to 50, and 50 being calm, relaxed, sane.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
well,
you.
I'm good with the anxiety stuff. I got that going on.
Yes, you are.
But let me ask, let's go back a little bit, because I think I want to make sure I get this one other question in. And I think a lot of people struggle with this.
Okay.
Marketing themselves. Like you said, challenge yourself to master market, because I know so many talented people. And like you said, it's not just with art, musicians, dance, singers, everything. And you can put anything out there, virtually right now. And they keep making excuses. Well, yeah, and it's tough, man. It's really tough. So how did you overcome that? And are you think you're marketing?
And I have not. I haven't. It's a journey. I haven't overcome it. Once COVID, and COVID got, our level of awareness re-COVID, I'd say like that second, third week of March.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, this is not like the flu. That is very clear to me. Maybe some other people don't know it, but hey, this is serious. And of course, that level of alertness just skyrocketed. Well, now we're at a point. I mean, things are shut down or whatever. So I'm like, although it was important pre-COVID, if you are going to put yourself, and your work is you. That's an extension of you. If you're going to put yourself out there, sweetie, it's going to have to be online right now. The bulk of your energies have to be devoted to branding, creating an online presence, being very clear about the valuation of your work. And visual artwork, whether it's painting, drawing, whatever, it's very labor intensive, and you need to keep everything that went into it in perspective, and that should transfer into what you're asking, your time, your labor, your vision.
Yeah. I think that's hard for art. I think it's hard. Like, there's certain things like, okay, someone's a trainer, someone's a mentor, someone's a coach, you can say, okay, this is what I chart. There's a range. But how do you determine your art pieces? I mean, to me, it's like you took a dart and shot it there. Like, how do you do that? So,
there are a lot of factors. And one of them is the level of a popularity,
Yeah.
you have, which that's where the demand for your work comes. Another reason why it's so important to get it out of there, because one feeds the other. You're not gonna become popular if your work is hidden in the closet and people don't see it.
Yeah.
So you start by getting it out there at first, and this you should be looking at. Here's where comparisons are important. What Look at what well-established artists are charging for pieces of comparable size and with similar elements. And
Okay.
no, I can't go there yet because I'm not that well established.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So, and then look at with people who are virtually unknown. Again, similar kinds of work or whatever, and then find some place, in the middle, kind of that. And it's very difficult to do, and there's no formula. But you have to come up with something because you have to assign it a price. But I would err on the side of caution since it's very common and go up rather than down because artists typically devalue their work and they start way too low. Way
Yeah.
too low.
Yeah, because it's scary, right?
Because yeah, it is very frightening. Very frightening. But the more experience you get, the more you're out there selling, I think intuitively you'll know when the phone is ringing a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm
Yeah.
getting a lot of hits. My prints are really in demand now. Whatever. Then you know it's time to step up that pricing framework, and it's also to make sure you should always be continuing to hone your skills. We never arrive anywhere. It's a journey. We should always be discovering better ways to work and different areas, branching off into different areas
Yeah.
that are of interest to us. But making
Yeah.
sure the work, the materials used, and everything is on point for the precedents you've set with earlier works or whatever. So
Oh,
it is difficult to strike that
yeah.
right medium. And sometimes you can let your audience, sometimes people will be kind enough to say, yeah, I'm going to buy that piece, but I think now they usually say it after the sale is final, I think you charge way too little for that. That's
Yeah.
after we're good, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
paid, I
We're
got
good.
my
We're
receipt.
done.
Yeah, we're done. But the next person that comes along, when you do another one like this, you need to charge twice as much. People will tell you that.
Yeah.
They
I'm sure.
they will, and they mean it, and I think a lot of times they're right. But you do look at the hours you put in. That's one way. And again, there's no formula. There is no formula. But look at what's out there, what other people are doing, what they're selling their work for. Do they have an established audience? All of those things play into it. And yeah, you might lose a few bucks that first go round, but you
Yeah.
will learn. That's an investment in your future.
Yeah. So, can you ballpark like how long it takes you to do the average piece, or is it all over the place?
It is all over the place. It is
How about the
all over
elephant?
the place.
How long did it take you to do the elephant?
The elephant, I would say, working maybe four. And remember, that was my first piece, so I didn't even know. I'm like, what
Yeah.
am I doing? What's happening
Yeah.
here? Oh, I'm giving him a home. I'm going to say maybe 30 hours
Gotcha.
working. And that was, I did that piece a long time ago, so That's probably a little off. It could have been 36, but around there. Around there.
What about the Tiger Moon Lady?
The Tiger Moon Lady took more time.
Yeah.
And it's because of the subject matter and the background. Like, if you're doing something like, well, we're not talking about the dancer, but this is a perfect example. That background is black and white marbly. You're not going to be fishing for very long for what piece of paper. You're only working with two colors in this background.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas on the dancer, that dress, that hemline, you got to find another piece.
Yeah.
That's going to keep that in continuity, and then a curvy one, or you're going to have to try to cut one or whatever. You got to look for things that give you what you need. And remember, you're using pieces of paper to create light and shadow where needed. You don't just go to the darker paint, a blend of paint to give you what you need. You have to look for that.
Yeah.
So that is very time consuming.
Yeah. So where do you get your paper right now? I know you said your son brought you this big bin. So where's your paper come from right now?
What I do, I collect magazines. And I have National Geographic is a favorite. So I buy it.
Yeah.
And I particularly like the older ones. And I think the paper was a higher quality in the older ones. It's just like the cars now. It's fiberglass or whatever. So W Magazine is a favorite. Any of the magazines that have the heavier paper. I guess a higher rag count. I don't know about how
I get it. Yeah, the quality of paper would
saying?
Definitely matter. Yeah, absolutely.
And who also would tend to have National Geographic has such fascinating, interesting photos that would lend themselves to a multitude of things that have nothing to do with the actual subject matter.
No, okay.
In the article, but and I use newspaper too. I use newspaper, any newspaper. I mean, the Austin Chronicle. It doesn't matter. Newspaper.
Yeah.
Anything.
You know what? I find this fascinating. I could talk to you forever, Sabrina, and I want to be there and like hold your stuff. I would just want to hold it. So my biggest question, I know they're going to hammer me with, if there's something they really want, do you still do that? Will you take requests? Yeah, commission work?
Absolutely.
Woohoo!
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Okay. I welcome that. And there's a challenge in that because you are working within a range. You have a range of parameters there when someone commissions a work because they're telling you what they would like.
Yeah. And can they pick what size they want?
Yes, absolutely.
To fit their wall?
Absolutely.
Not that I'm thinking of anybody, but
nobody in particular.
Nobody in particular.
Yeah, they can pick something short of being, look, I want you to come and here's some paper to this mural in Kentucky or whatever. As long as you give me, it could be 30 by 40, it could be 40 by 60. I can order whatever I need to do that.
Gotcha.
It can be as large or it can be something small.
Yeah.
It just depends. I don't normally do anything that's smaller than 11 by 14, which is not that much bigger if you think about it than a sheet of paper.
Well, you know what I'm thinking? Because I love marketing, by the way, and I love promoting. So I'm thinking you would be a wonderful thing to give somebody as a gift. Do you know what I mean? Like for birthday, anniversaries, whatever, special occasion, to commission you to do something. So
and people have done that. Well, I won't say what the commissions I've had have been from the person doing something for themselves, but I have people give prints as gifts all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, I can see it because I just know so many people that would find it so special. All right, Sabrina. So, how did you meet Dan? I need to know.
I met Dan at college at Vassar many moons ago.
Got you. Yes. And you stayed in touch all these years?
Well, you know what? We weren't really in touch all the way, but a common friend of ours back in back in 96, which was still years after we graduated. She had a function at her house in Virginia Beach, and I was invited, as was Danny. And we both traveled there and went. And so then we renewed our friendship when we met at her function. And we have stayed in touch off and on since then. I can still do that, Dan, that's when Danny was like, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, whatever. And, Danny is all over the place.
I know. When I was calling about something, I'm like, I got to get back to Sabrina. He's like, wait a minute. Let me tell you about something.
Exactly. That is Danny. I mean, Danny is just swooping people up, pulling them in. I don't know. He has so much energy. And he's such a wonderful guy. He's such a caring person. And he's always been that way. He is absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. I love Danny.
Kindest souls, yeah.
He is. Kind of soul. He is. He'll go to the ends of the earth for you.
I have trouble saying no to him.
Oh, I bet you do.
I mean, I'm getting better at saying no, but I'm like, oh, all right, Dan. All right, so few things. The word now. So now we're going to fast forward, Sabrina.
Okay.
For the next 30 days. You said you were in limbo. What would you like the word to be in the next 30 days or months after? What emotion would you want to embody?
Action.
All right.
Action.
All right. Why, Sabrina?
Because I feel in that limbo that I told you about earlier, I feel, and I know it's COVID related, I feel some inertia. I feel some lethargy. And I'm like, oh no, sweetie, that's happening out there. What's gonna be going on in here? And you have to set forth your intention. See, I know this stuff cerebrally, but I'm like everybody else. Putting things into practice, that's a whole different animal. Yeah. And so I'm like, hey, if you don't do it, then you're still going to be here marking time. Is that what you want? No. So I want to be about just doing it. Action. And I'm talking about my art.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And this is the first step. This is like a catalyst for that to take place. In other words, as Rumi, and I had this stuff that I had prepared or whatever, the 13th century poet, mystic, and scholar or whatever. Okay, I was ready. I said, okay, all right. If she's gonna come at me from academia, okay, I'm gonna be ready. Girlfriend is gonna be ready. Okay, but this is not really about academia, but it's a wonderful quote from Rumi. Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open? Move outside the tangle of fear thinking. The entrance door to the sanctuary is inside you. And I just love this.
I love that.
And I will send it to you. I'll email it to you.
Will you?
Yes. Just the first line. We don't even need the rest. Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open?
Well, it's just like you said,
Right.
There's understanding, and I logically know, but applying it is a whole different ball of wax.
It is.
But I agree with you, though. I'm all about, don't make a big hairy deal about it. Don't overthink it. Just take little steps every day, like your action. Like take little steps every day to get you closer to your goal.
Exactly. Something little. Now, this was something big, but this makes the little steps. It was something big for me.
Oh my God, this was huge. And I'm so proud of you. I know when you got on originally, I went, okay, take a deep breath in. It's going to be fun. And let me tell you, this was one of my favorites. Love it.
Sandy.
One of my favorites. Well, because, you overcame your fear to live your passion and spread your word. So that is where my heart lies, woman. All right, so.
Well, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Now, wait. Wait. Before we go, though, is there anything that we didn't get in besides about the Italian influence on somebody's piece?
Sandy, I think I will. I just feel like I made a new friend, and I think I will always laugh about that.
Oh my God!
And
is there anything we didn't get in that you want to get
No, because no. The roomy thing was something that I did want to get in because it resounds with me. And we did. We got that in. No, all I would say to your audience is just do it. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 step at a time, 1 day at a time.
I love that, Sabrina. I love it. All right, my Let's Keep It Real people. I think you're going to say that Sabrina has definitely kept it real, and I can't wait for you to check out her artwork. And there's so many ways you can purchase it. So go do something, whether it's for the wall, whether it's note paper, whether it's on your phone, whether you commission her. I'm telling you, you are not going to be disappointed. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Toodles!
Thanks for listening. Be sure to share and subscribe if you enjoyed the show, and remember, keep spreading the positive.